Hello and welcome to the 2024 Season 3 Week 1 Team Conti Sim Performance Track Guide. Michael Conti here to take you around Iowa Speedway for 30 laps and walk you through some things to look for as you're racing this week at this fantastic multi-groove short track that somewhat races like an intermediate but still is very much a short track designed to mimic Richmond Raceway. Iowa Speedway makes its return to the NASCAR Cup schedule this season. Or actually, it's on the schedule for the first time ever, long overdue. That's a welcome addition. And first time that the iRacing Cup Series will visit Iowa Speedway during one of its regular seasons. We've raced here in the past in off seasons before, but never quite this early in the year, so lots of changes, good changes. As you can see here, two completely different ends of the racetrack between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is a wide and sweeping entry, lots of bumps. 3 and 4 is fairly smooth, a little different banking. You can really feel the progressive banking in 3 and 4 as you run up the track, so much different approaches from one end to the other. We'll walk through that a little bit more as the run goes on. Staying in 4th gear, no shifting required, which is nice. Tire-wise, definitely will be some tire management needed the first 10 to 15 laps, as we've seen at other short tracks in past seasons. Nothing new there. Don't be fooled by the tire wear at the end of your 30-lap runs. You probably will be in the low to mid-80s, but if you ever drive a car early on, you know what happens. You have nothing to lean on toward that lap 30 mark, and as you go past 30 into 40, 50, 60, 70 laps, it can get really sketchy if you have not managed those tires. So what are we doing blind-wise and approach-wise to manage the tires? So let's exit turn 2 here, nice straight exit, early entry into 3, straight line braking as much as possible, and rolling and carrying a lot of brake into the center before free rolling and getting off the brake. That straight line entry really keeps the rear settled, and that good amount of trail brake to the center keeps the nose pinned and allows for good front rotation without needing to swing the back around. Keeps the car working front and back in harmony. As the run goes on and as the track evolves, the 2nd, 3rd, and even 4th groove in Iowa and 3 and 4 will become a factor, but for the purpose of this run, we'll concentrate most of the early running to the bottom, and then I'll start to move up a little bit later. 1 and 2, very wide and sweeping entry. Again, like I said before, similar to the entry of 1 and 2 at Richmond. So it's hard to find a good braking marker into 1 because it is so wide. It's similar to Texas in that sense where it's easy to get lost. You'll see here we'll come down the front stretch, clear the start-finish line. Some tire marks in the wall. I start turning off just past that, and I'll just beeline it right down to the bottom. And I really discipline myself and I roll around that yellow line. Even though I could probably widen out the entry and carry more speed through the center, make more lap time early on, keeping that thing right around the yellow, keeping it below the worst of the bumps, really helps keep some load out of those tires. You can see this lap I gained a little bit of time on entry, but I lose the center off just because by the time I got to the center I didn't have great front rotation. Slid that right front a bit, and I would just wait on throttle. The first part of the run, it'll feel like the nose is a bit tight and not really compliant. As you get later into the run and as the rear end comes up, diffuser clearances itself, you lose a bit of rear downforce, gain some tire temp in the back. The balance will start to swing back to neutral, and then it should get a little bit loose toward 30, and that's just really depending on how hard you drive it early on, how aggressive you let that throttle up off, how much you're spinning up that right rear tire on throttle, and what you do here will directly influence how the car trends for the rest of the run. 23.91 and lap 10 started in the 6s and 7s, so about 1/4 second to 3/10 fall off in 10 laps. That'll continue to accelerate here as we approach 20. Typically work my brake bias quite a bit here throughout a run. Haven't had to do anything to it so far, but just remember that brake bias is a great tool to influence influence how the car builds. If it builds tight or loose. If you're getting tight, move that brake bias back. Reduce the brake bias number to remove front bias and to move it toward the back. If the car is getting loose on entry, move that bias forward. Really good grip right now. I think we're starting to get to the point where it's becoming a little bit more neutral. Watch out for that exit of 4, especially as you track out like I did right there. That more aggressive track out will lead to better lap time, but you put yourself at risk of sliding the back end when you cross over that first seam and get onto the second level of banking. So right here we're in lane 1, level 1 of banking. As I cross this dashed line, I go to lane 2, lane 3. That banking increases gradually, and that can make the car a bit looser on your way up, so just watch out for that. Entry to turn 1 later in the run, if you don't watch it, can definitely get loose on your way off the wall. If you're turning in really late and using a bunch of wheel while you're on the brakes hard, that'll slip the rear. That's another reason why that straight line braking and that B line to the bottom in 1 and 2 is really helpful. Just keeps the rear settled early, but also settled later too when it's more at risk. 15 completed here, still running 23.9s. Good handling right now. Again, a little bit tight in the front. Good thing is, I think that'll get looser. And if I'm a customer and I feel like I'm too tight on the benchmark setup, which is what we're running here, we do have the looser version available as well, which removes a bit of dynamic cross weight. Just enough to get you a little bit more rotation if you need it. The biggest thing is to not overdrive that entry to center. If you do, you'll get really tight. And then at that point, you're probably going to throw the loose setup in and still be tight and think, well, what do I do now? Well, back it up. Back up that speed. Have to be patient here. Post-update, they took away quite a bit of grip from all these tracks. So this, full transparency here, this is my first run on this setup post-update. And it's pretty shocking how much more I have to slow this thing down. Really have to slow down the center of the corner speed, back my braking zones up a little bit. Just overall grip has been removed, which is a good thing. With this low track temp before, we were really point and go. So post updates here, definitely going slower. Everybody will be going slower. So I think that should make the racing a little bit more dynamic. More off throttle time is always better. We're completing lap 20 here. Lap 20 will be a high 1, low 2. Let's see, 24.20. About 6/10 of fall off so far. Probably another 3 to 4 tenths to go, if I had to guess. Let's start experimenting with lines. So another really good alternative in 3 and 4 is entering with the left sides below this set of hash marks, sliding up a bit in the center, and just trying to carry that momentum more up off versus pinching the bottom. That's really good. 1 and 2, I haven't found a great alternative in my testing beside the bottom, just because you get up the track and the bumps get worse. This diffuser does not like hitting bumps, so the top is a little bit harder to make work, but we'll give it a shot here. Let's target lane 2, left side's just above the hash marks. Not terrible. Not great either, so we're going to go back to the bottom. Back to the bottom again. Bottom seems to be way to go. Go to lane 2 again in 3 and 4. Try to roll more speed through the center. And a little faster. Feeling pretty neutral right now. We'll leave some entry in 1 right about here. As long as I don't throw it in with too much speed and wheel, it's very compliant. Good corner right there, just a little bit up off the bottom. Good wheel speed in the center. Continue to target 1 lane up in 3 and 4. Lost the nose a little bit there. Got a bit higher than I wanted to, but still good speed on exit. 27 complete, 3 to go. Still in the 4s. Good rotation right there. Fantastic rip up off. Really driving nice. Let's go back to the bottom here. Get that left front pinned on that yellow line. Super important to do that if you're running the bottom. Good grip right there off the bottom. Kind of broken even. 2 to go here. Giving it all it's got here toward the end of 30. Right rear grip is fading away a bit, definitely leaning on it. Roll that second groove, really nice exit right there, should gain some back, there you go. And 1 more lap to complete 30. That's a lot of entry speed, let's see if that works. And lost about the center, just overcharge that, it's a good visual on what not to do. So let's try it again in 3 and 4, charge entry. Sides just below that seam, hard throttle up off, watch that right rear, and that completes 30 laps. So as you can see, grip definitely starts to fade away at the end there, a little bit less than a second worth of fall off. Just make sure you back up the front end of the run, manage your tires, keep the car nice and compliant, don't force it to do things that it doesn't need to do early on, and you'll probably be pretty good in your races. Don't marry yourself to the bottom, continue to search for grip as the track changes and evolves, and take a really nice setup that we've got for this week and get some good results out of it. So thank you all for watching once again. Have a great start to your season 3, and we'll see you next week at New Hampshire.